Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Prananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Shankaram Lokashankaram Samasta Janakalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram. Om Partaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Graditam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitaamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadyayini Ambatvam Anusandadhami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshini Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutah Stunvanti Devyai Stavaihi Vedai Sangapadakramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagah Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam na vidusura suraganah Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Sri Krishna concluded his teaching, his discussion on Karma Yoga by saying, Shreyan Swadharmo Vigunaha Paradharmatsu Anushtitat Swadharme Nidhanam Shreyaha Paradharmo Bhayavaha. Performing one's own duty, even when it is, without much merit, not great. But even if that were the case, doing that is better than taking up some other's job, some other duty, and even if you can do it better than the other person. But don't do it. That was the advice. So he actually uses much stronger words. He says, even dying while doing your own duty is better than taking up somebody else's that is fraught with fear. Every one of us can follow this. We always stick our nose in somebody else's business. You always say, what kind of a job, lousy job he's doing. If only I were the president. I'll make this and that happen. This is what it is. Always criticize others. Bhagavan, gives us a warning, don't you do that. That's the sum and substance of it. And then, after listening to all this, Arjuna asks a very important, very valid question. And a question that is all in our minds also. As I said last week, we have to thank Arjuna for speaking our mind. Sometimes we are shy to ask these questions. It's good we have people like Arjuna asking the questions for us. He asks, Atakena prayuktoyam papam charati purushah anichannapi. Anichan Vashneya baladiva niyojitah. Everybody knows is right and what is wrong. Everybody knows that. But people don't do what they're supposed to do, what is to be done, and what should not be done. Adharma, they do it. It looks like that they are being forced to do that. Some force is there outside, they just can't help it. Simply put, why do people commit sin? I want to be a good person only. I want to do the right thing. But I end up doing all this. Gadabadi, they say. I keep doing that. Why? Looks like somebody is pushing me to do this. So Arjuna asked this question. Let us see what Bhagavan has to say. Verse 37. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kamayesha Krodhayesha Kamayesha Krodhayesha Rajoguna Samudbhavaha Rajoguna Samudbhavaha Mahashano Mahapapma Mahashano Mahapapma Vidyena Vairinam Vidyena Vairinam Kamayesha Krodhayesha Rajoguna Samudbhavaha Mahashano Mahapapma Vidyena Vairinam. So in these verses up to the end of the chapter, Bhagavan answers Arjuna's question. And he points out, there are no outside forces contrary to the popular belief. You may say something outside is pushing me. So nothing outside. There is no external angel propelling you to do the right thing, or there is no devil manipulating you. No. The whole thing is just within you. You yourself. Therefore, in our philosophy, we don't have a Satan, Shaitan. We don't have all that. Like in other faiths. It's all in you, within you. Be it an angel or a devil, it's there in you only. And what is that basic force? If you ask, it is ajnana. Ignorance. Ignorance alone is the cause of all our problems. Sheer ignorance. Working at two levels. At one level, it's dharma, adharma, ajnana. What is right? What is wrong? We are confused. We don't know. At a higher level, it's a ignorance with regard to Atma, Anatma. What is Atma? What is Anatma? What is the self? What is the not self? Who are you? Who you are not? You don't know. You're confused. So if at all want to call something a devil, the ignorance is the devil. There is no external force other than your own ignorance, my own ignorance. Here, Bhagavan does not talk about ajnanam, ignorance directly, because we rarely understand ajnana. The basic ajnanam alone expresses in the form of two forces. And he calls this, he spells it out here, and krodha, kama, desire, krodha, anger. Ignorance, it is divided itself into two forces. Or you can say this is ignorance born desire, ignorance born krodha. Like that we can say. So these two forces, desire and anger, the kama, krodha, this pair alone is the problem. Therefore, in the following verses, Bhagavan is going to discuss this problem of kama, krodha, desire and anger. And these two are the source of all problems. And so, if we can tackle that, problem solved. And with regard to this kama, krodha, he is going to discuss three aspects of it, three topics. Number one, kama, krodha, swarupam. What is the nature of these two devils? Desire and anger. That's one, nature, swarupam. Kama, krodha, karanam. What is the source? What's the origin? How does it come about? This desire and anger, how does it come about? And kama, krodha, parihara. What is the remedy? How can you tackle that? What is the antidote, if you will? How can you immunize yourself against this desire and anger? So, swarupam, karanam, and parihara. So, these are the three topics under this kama, krodha that we will discuss. Bhagavan uvacha, the blessed Lord said, kama yeshaha, krodha yeshaha. Kama, as I said, kama means desire. Krodha means anger. Yeshaha, this. This desire that is experienced by everyone doesn't come from outside. We think desire comes from outside. Oh, that's so nice. That's so attractive. But even that is coming from inside. You have given Shobhana to that object. That poor thing is what it is. But you think it's beautiful, it's nice, all that. It's coming from you only, and then, oh, it will be nice if I could just have it. So all that is coming from inside only. The object of desire may vary from one person to another, but the presence of desire is universal. Everybody has some desire or the other. Yesha krodha, this anger also, it's within yourself. That person makes me angry, I tell you. He is so difficult to live with. It's not coming from there, it's coming from you. The anger is within yourself only. No, I'm not an angry person. If we do not get angry, it's not because that it is not there. We just don't have the right candidate to be angry about, that's all. So again, the person with whom you're mad may be different, or sometimes, you're angry but you don't show because the other person is too powerful. So you just swallow your anger. This is what happens. Okay. This is the kind of the nature swarupa of all this anger. These are various things that we associate with desire, anger, etc. Now, Bhagavan says it is rajoguna samudbhavaha. It's born out of rajoguna. We will discuss these gunas very elaborately in the 14th chapter. Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, 14th chapter. The entire chapter is devoted to these three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Most of you are familiar with the term. So I will go ahead and use these terms, but detailed discussions we will reserve for the 14th chapter. So here he points out rajoguna. Very simply put, sattva guna, knowledge. The expression of sattva guna is knowledge, calm, quiet, serene, etc., etc. That is the expression of sattva guna. Rajoguna is activity oriented. Enthusiasm, dynamism, being active, what we call a type A personality, that kind of go-getter and all that. Rajoguna, active. Tamoguna, lazy, dull, lethargic. So no enthusiasm, doesn't want to do anything. That kind of personality, that guna. So he says this rajoguna, this dynamic, enthusiastic, activity-oriented nature of someone, that is where this desire and anger, kama, krodha, is born out of rajoguna. Now, why do we say that these two, kama, krodha, are powerful forces and that affect our karma yoga, that affect our dharmic way of life? The reason is, Bhagavan says, mahashanaha, the nature of desire. We all know this. The nature of desire is maha ashanaha, the great eater. Maha, great, ashanaha, just gobbles of everything. Insatiable. Desire is a glutton. The idea is this: there is no way of fulfilling one's desires. Any amount of desires we fulfill, it doesn't end. There is one more. It expands more and more. When I do not have any money at all, I say it'd be nice to have $100. When I get that $100, I want to get 1,000. Then 1,000,000. These days, million is cheap. We're talking about billions. And there is one fellow who wants to be a trillionaire. And it is within his reach also. So there's no limit. You and I may not have that much in billions or trillions because we know that is beyond reach. Uh, we cannot even aspire. Anyway, simply put, whatever it is, we want a little bit more. And more you have, you want more. If you are in America, you want to buy a sports franchise. Or you want to have your own private island. What kind of problems it brings, we don't know now, but we want one. Like that, it goes on. If you are in India, you have great political ambition. And these sports franchises, they have also come to, we have imported that to India also. Every leading businessman has his own, IPL, this PL, that PL. It's there. If you go to the Puranic story also, there also, somebody wants to go to Devaloka, somebody wants to become Indra, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. There is no end to desires, any which way you look at it. Why is it like that? Why desires do not end? All these different desires are the expression of only one basic desire. It's only one problem. Because I feel apurna. I feel incomplete. I feel inadequate. I am unfulfilled. I'm not complete with myself. I want this, that, on the other, or the other to complete myself as a person. So through different things, I want to fulfill me, make me complete. Like buying a house. How long am I going to be living in a rented house? I tell you. And then so many problems, and every year the rent keeps going up. And suddenly one fine morning the landlord says, my daughter is getting married, and my son-in-law and daughter wants to live in this house, so you get out. You get kicked out. So many reasons. If only I had my own house, I will have no problems. Little do we know how many problems that brings, but be that as it may, that is one thing. If you're single, I want to get married. That will make my life complete. Okay, you get married. How long am I going to be looking at you every day? If only I had a child. Kids are so fun. Okay, that will, family, you should have a child. So like that, it goes on and on. So everyone wants fulfillment. So whatever be the desires, they are superficial. The basic issue is, I am finite now. I am limited. And I want to be infinite. I want to be unlimited. That is the basic. And everything else is a fallout from that. It's an expression of that. And Vedanta says, an incomplete one cannot become complete by just acquiring things. Because whatever you are acquiring, that is also finite. That is also incomplete. A finite can never become infinite by acquisition of finite objects. Finite plus finite is still finite. Okay. Mathematically also. Mhm. Finite plus finite will still be finite. It will not become infinite. Anything that you get by fulfilling your desires can never make you complete. Therefore, your approach to fulfillment, to getting that purnatva through acquisition of this, that, and whatnot, it's the wrong approach. It's illogical. Puja Gurudev defines happiness quotient. Some of you might have read that if you've taken some of his self-unfoldment and other basic courses. He defines happiness quotient as the number of desires fulfilled divided by the number of desires entertained. A certain number of desires, that goes in the denominator. In the numerator, how much you have fulfilled. So, to one, because if you fulfill all your desires, numerator, denominator, same, it'll be one. Okay. But the problem is, if you keep adding, especially the bottom, the denominator keeps increasing. It is not a finite number. The desires keep on increasing. So if it is static, that quotient will work and tend to 1. But that's not the case. And even if otherwise, if you keep adding that number plus 1, all right, I have this many desires, I've fulfilled this many, I'm adding one more. You add 1 to the numerator and that gets fulfilled. And denominator. What will happen to that fraction? This is a homework for you. Okay? You work this math. Mathematically also, it'll never come to 1. So this is the problem. These desires keep on multiplying. And however much you try to fulfill them, you cannot. So this desire is called maha ashanaha. As long as I'm continuing to struggle, trying to fulfill these desires, I will be preoccupied in my life. The mind will be distracted to worldly desires all the time. You will become so extroverted, and you don't even have time to figure out what is the basic problem. So you can discover this basic problem only if you lead a religious life, study the scriptures, and all that. But you just don't have time for that. But turning your attention inward and doing these things, then only you discover your very direction is wrong. You've been chasing the wrong dream. So you should know how to handle desire. Not only kama, desire is a problem. Krodha, anger. Oh. Anger, we all have experienced that. How is anger a problem? Anger makes a problem violent. Violence is himsa, and himsa is a papam. So harming other people is a sin. Any type of violence is a papam. Anger makes a person violent, physically, verbally. Many people may not be violent physically, but they have a sharp tongue. That's all mahapapam. That anger makes you come down the spiritual ladder. Kama makes a person extrovert, when you should be turning inward to make spiritual progress. Instead, your mind is going out. Krodha makes a person violent. An extrovert, violent person cannot follow dharma. He cannot follow karma yoga. Therefore, Bhagavan says these two are one's enemies. Kama yesha, krodha yesha, vairi. Your enemy is one's enemy. So Bhagavan says, hey Arjuna, vidhi yenam iha vairinam. You understand that these two are your enemies. Desire and anger are your two worst enemies. This Bhagavan will emphasize throughout Gita. So managing desire and anger is a lifelong project of every intelligent human being. Here we have to note an important point. Two enemies are talked about, desire and anger. If you think a little bit more, you will figure out they are not two separate entities. Really one only. The same enemy from two different angles. How do you say so? Desire obstructed gets converted to anger. You want something, you desire that, you work towards it, you get it. That's good. But you don't always get what you want. Something or other. So when there is an obstruction, you want that so desperately and you just cannot get it. That makes you mad. We've already talked about a desire keeping growing. That we desire fulfilled, that didn't stop there, you want more. So that is lobha, greed. That we've already touched upon. Desire, you cannot put a lid on it. It keeps growing. And now when you cannot fulfill the desire, then you get angry. And of course, the intensity of anger is directly proportional to the intensity of desire. How badly you wanted that. And you couldn't get it. That makes you really angry. So kama is the root of the problem. Those of you who are familiar with kama karishi tarpana, that one should do. The mantra that is repeated is kama karshit, manyura karshit, namo namaha, naham karta, kama karta, eshate kama kamaya swaha. This is called kama karshit tarpana, done daily, and definitely it's an yearly ritual. Shravana Masa, those of you who observe this, you change the Yajnopavita on an annual basis, you do, Gayatri, Havan and all that. You repeat this. Naham karta, kama karta. I'm not doing this. This desire is making. Oh, desire. So you do tarpana. That's the meaning. I'm not the doer. Desire is the doer. Oh, desire, I do namaskara to you. So, supposed to purify oneself. So now, how that desire is our enemy, what does it do? That is pointed out in the next two verses. Verse 38. A beautiful verse, quite often quoted. Dhumena vriyate vannihi, dhumena vriyate vannihi, yatadarsho malena cha, yatadarsho malena cha, yatolvena vruto garbha, यतोल्बेनावृतो गर्भः तथा तेनेदमावृतम् तथा तेनेदमावृतम् धूमेनाव्रियते वह्निः यथादर्शो मलेन च यतोल्बेनावृतो गर्भः तथा तेनेदमावृतम्. In the last verse, verse 37, Bhagavan said, Kama and Krodha, or Kama, aka Krodha. Anger is another form of desire. That is the enemy. Therefore, if you learn how to handle, how to manage desire, you can manage Krodha also. So Bhagavan does not discuss Krodha separately. Just the desire. He was asked the question, how does desire cause problems for all of us? So he analyzes the disease of desire. So for that, we need to know how does it cause problems. It does so by blunting your faculty of discrimination, power of thinking, reasoning power. Man, a person who is obsessed with desire, doesn't think. That's why we say blinded by desire. Discrimination of the intellect is like a charioteer, a driver. Kathopanishad gives this metaphor, says buddhi, the intellect is the driver of the vehicle. The driver alone decides where the vehicle should go. Similarly, intellect alone has to decide what should be the way of our life. I should know, I should give importance to spirituality, not materialism only. I should know the relative priorities in life. Every moment you have to decide. So many choices are there in life. This karma covers this viveka shakti, ability to make the right choices. So in the second line he says, Tena idam avritam. Tena, by this referring to kama, desire, idam meaning jnanam, knowledge, avritam, covered, is veiled, clouded. How does desire cover discrimination? Bhagavan gives 3 beautiful examples to illustrate how thick it can be, a relative thickness of this cover. The first example is relatively easy, a thin covering. First example given is smoke covering the fire. Dhumena vannihi avriyate. Fire is bright, it can shine, it can illumine things. But when the fire is covered by smoke, fire is not able to do what it can normally do. So when there is another example, it's not exactly fire, fog. The fog is there, visibility is poor. Same idea, it's not fire and smoke. Even the sunlight is covered by fog. And only when that fog gets burned, then you can see clearly. Otherwise, visibility is poor. Planes cannot land. When you're driving on the highway, you do not even see the car in front of you. In pileups like 40, 50 car pileup, driving in the fog, it's not uncommon. It covers. So that is smoke covering fire. I say it is a thin covering because you can say, foo, 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 and it goes away. You know, yaga, you have a little fan, when the flame starts to smoke, you fan it and then the fire is burns. It's relatively easy. Second example is yata adarshaha malena. Adarsha, a mirror. Mirror is a reflecting surface. And if it's a clean mirror, you can see your face very clearly. But if mala, dust, if it is dusty, you cannot see. It doesn't reflect. There's nothing wrong with the mirror, but just covered by dust. And to remove that, a little bit more effort. You have to wipe it with a cloth. And once you wipe the dust off, then the reflection is pretty good. So that's a second, little bit of a stronger covering. A third example, yata garbha ulbena avrataha. It's like a fetus covered in the womb. The child cannot be seen. Okay, these days we can. Ultrasound, this, sonogram, and all that. Okay, you can, but it's not the same thing as seeing that baby when it comes out. The child is born, very different. Okay, for that you just have to wait. Okay, you cannot rush it. It's a thicker cover. So covered by smoke, fire cannot illumine. Mirror cannot reflect when covered by dust. And that little bundle of joy cannot be enjoyed till its time. In the same way, desire covers buddhi. The intellect cannot do its job. Intellect has to think, and it cannot do when the desire covers it. These three examples have significance also. Like I said, when smoke covers fire, it is easily removed just by fanning it a little bit. Mirror is covered by dust. You have to do a little bit more. You have to wipe it off with a cloth. To uncover the fetus in the womb, you just have to wait. Come out only when it is due. Child has to mature and be ready to come out. Similarly, desires are of three types. Some desires you can very easily reason it out, remove it by Viveka Shakti. These desires are sattvic desires. Remember, sattvic desires also cover our knowledge. You will find good, noble people having human values, do a lot of social service, but they may not be into spirituality. Good minds, but their idea is, I have to serve. And that itself becomes an obstacle for self-realization. Sometimes they are not very objective. Since they have good qualities, noble virtues, the few changes like satsanga, they can start on their spiritual journey. Changing the attitude, I am trying to serve humanity, to I am serving God, worshipping God through my social service, will bring about the proper attitude. That selfless action can be converted into karma yoga with a little tune-up. Then the knowledge will shine forth. They gain proper discrimination. Their desires change to mild preferences. Intellect can do a little thinking and get rid of any problems. If the desire is a little bit more rajasic, one may have to go through fulfillment of desires. If the desires are too strong, tamasic, you have to allow that person to be in it and hope one day he or she will come out of it. A child may want a balloon for many years, and you keep on getting a balloon. But eventually the child will grow out. and not ask for it. May ask for other toys, and as an adult, some other toys, but at least the child will grow out of these little toys. The desire and anger cloud one's discrimination about dharma, adharma. Duryodhana had this problem. Ravana had the same problem. Ravana, in spite of having the knowledge of scriptures, in spite of being a great Shiva Bhakta, he was even blessed by the Lord himself for his devotion. Such a decent, devoted, educated Ravana, his discrimination was clouded to such an extent. He would not listen to the advice of so many people. It's not that intelligence was lacking, but it was veiled, covered. That's why Bhagavan said in the second chapter, Sangat sanjayate kamaha, kamat krodhopi jayate, krodat bhavati sammoha. That sammoha, complete covering of discrimination. Just as smoke covers the fire, just as dust covers a mirror, and just as the womb covers the fetus, desire and anger cover discrimination. So the intellect is made defunct, non-functional by desire and anger. So we pray to this pair of thugs to leave us alone. In all Puranas, the Rakshasas are always come in pairs. Jaya Vijaya, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, Madhukaitava, Shumba Nishumba. They are all Kama Krodha personified. The Puranas have a different way of presenting. That is what Kama and Krodha are, those pairs. They're not only there in the Puranas, but they are here and now in our head and heart. So this is explained further in the next verse. Let us read verse 39. Avritam jnanametena, avritam jnanametena, jnanino nitya vairina, jnanino nitya vairina, kamarupena kaunteya, kamarupena kaunteya, dushpurenanalena cha. दुष्पूरेणानलेन च आवृतं ज्ञानमेतेन ज्ञानिनो नित्यवैरिणा कामरूपेण कौन्तेय दुष्पूरेणानलेन च. So, in the previous verse, Bhagavan had said, Tata tena idam avritam. Thus, thereby, this is covered, knowledge is covered. That is further explained in this verse. Desire and its fallout, anger in a different form, they cover the discrimination of an individual. So the judging faculty is out of the window, for that they both are so destructive. An example for the devastation of Kama is given. Analenacha, it's like fire. A fire destroys everything, and so does desire. Destroys a person, his mind. If a house catches fire, the house is completely burnt. And those of you in the US, you know, every summer we have all these forest fires, how they consume millions of acres. So fire is called analaha, because alam means enough. The fire never says enough. It is analaha, one that never says enough. The more fuel you add, more it will burn. Similarly, when you fulfill one desire, you just added fuel to that burning desire. You've not removed the desire. You only nourished it. It'll say, may I have one more, please? The more you entertain the desire, it'll ask for more and more. Never satisfied. So desire is dushpurena, never fulfilled. Kaunteya, hey Arjuna, here the insatiable fire is kama rupena, is in the form of desire. It is jnaninaha nitya vairinaha, the enemy of scriptural seekers, spiritual seekers. Does it mean for others, non-spiritual seekers, desire is not a problem? Those people have desire. They fulfill it. They are happy. Another desire comes. They work for it. And they are again happy. They go along totally ignorant, not striving for anything higher. They don't consider it as a weakness, have no guilt. The seeker, poor seeker, he tries for something higher, and then a desire comes along. Say he wants to go to a movie. He goes to the movie theater, and there, instead of enjoying the movie, he feels, I should have stayed home and studied for the studying class next week. I go to that class unprepared week after week. If he does not go for the movie, let us say, he has gotten over the desire. He feels the next day when his friend comes along and says, how good the movie was. I tell you, you really missed something. In this way, he's miserable either way. Another example, the diabetics. Every day you read in the papers, especially in India, they say India is the diabetic capital of the world. I just read an article today. They're going to have a generic version of that Ozempic or whatever, that injectable Munjaro or something like that. It's going to be $1 trillion market, they say. Anyway, you have this problem, but you still like sweets. So when the sweets come in front of you, you cannot say no. And if you say no, you feel bad. This is what happens. But somebody who doesn't know he's diabetic, he goes on enjoying. Eventually, he has to pay the price, but at least now he's not miserable. There are several people who don't want to go to a doctor. Suppose they find out something is wrong. So they don't go to the doctor. Anyway, for the seeker, jnanam avrutam yetena, by that meaning the desire, jnanam, knowledge, discrimination, is veiled, covered, clouded. For the spiritual seeker, the most important wealth is discrimination. So karma yogi, it's the first part of life. As a householder, he performs action, but he must know what is dharma, dharma. He needs discrimination. That viveka should be there. And that is what gets compromised. The discrimination, most important wealth, that is why we talk about sadhana chatushraya sampatti, the fourfold wealth. The very first thing is viveka, and desire loots this important wealth for the spiritual seeker. Kama is worse than the other thief who just steals your money or possessions. So Arjuna asks, Atakena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha, compelled by whom or by what force man commits sin? Bhagavan could have just, it is kama yesha, krodha yesha, this desire and anger. The answer is over. But that's not the sign of a good teacher. He also needs to say what kama is, how many kinds are there, which way it is the enemy, and how you can apprehend this culprit. Can you find him and catch him? Where does he reside? How can you destroy it? Everything has to be pointed out. The Lord does answer the question completely. Now, the enemy is there, and we have to catch him. We must find out where he is hiding. Person who was robbed usually very impatient, and he wants the police, the cat, the victim, he wants the police to catch that criminal right away. The police just don't run around chasing the robber, but they're very methodical. They look at the crime scene, how the crime was committed, the modus operandus of the crime. With those details, they narrow the search and go there, and then they nab the criminal. In the same way, we need to know the hiding places for this desire. Krishna talks about where this karma lives. He's going to talk about it in the next verse. So let us find out next week. Come back and we will find out where this desire is hiding. Catch hold of it. Take care of it. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Guru Harihi Om.